Any apologies?
None, Chairman.
No apologies, okay. Okay. For declarations of interest, if anybody has a disclosable pecuniary interest in respect of any items on the agenda today, and also any other interest they may have in respect of the items, they should declare them. And also, always keep the clerk updated on it if you've got any change in interests as well. Okay, so if you do have an interest, I trust you've signed the book. In the minutes of the meeting of the 9th of September, sorry.
I would like to say I signed the book for the fitness centre, for the declaration of interest. So I signed
Have you, in what way have you got an interest?
Well, I think one of the paragraphs might include me in it.
If you feel you have an interest, you should declare it, and that's what she's saying. Okay. And that's in relation to item 14?
Item 14.
Okay.
You have to say what the reason.
Sorry, I'm speaking. Does that mean that you... no, I mean that in which one of 14? 1, 2 or 3? 1, 2, 3 or 4?
None of those, actually. No.
So you don't have an interest in?
Okay.
Alright, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Can I let you know?
I just wondered how you had an interest.
Not in 1, 2, 3 or 4.
Okay, well, we'll carry on. Okay. Okay, minutes of the meeting of the 9th of September. Are there any points anyone wish to raise? No? Nothing at all? Okay, can I have a proposal to accept the minutes, please?
Yeah.
Dan, seconded, Joyce. All those in favour? Don't forget those abstaining.
Yes, I'm in favour.
Alright. We should have 2 abstentions, Michael and Vince.
You won't
Any abstentions?
No.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much. There you go. Which is council questions. I've had questions from Councillor Brooks. In fact, he's submitted a number of questions, and although there are 3 main questions, they contain multiple questions, so it means that in fact there are more than 3 questions within those 3 questions. I'll answer them all, but I would remind all members of the requirements of Standing Order 9, which means that you can only ask 3 questions. Okay. Question 1. This council recently refused my request for an internal audit because Street's accountants did not conduct an audit. Street's also said the errors in the 2014-2015 accounts cannot be proved deliberate or even a mistake. So, what evidence has the chairman of the council now found that warrants an investigation, and by who? The investigation is confidential, and as you do not need to know, you have not been consulted or advised.
I'm sorry, that's outrageous. You should be telling the council what's going on.
I'll come on to that in a minute if you just
Yeah,
listen.
you have no right to do that.
If you'd like to listen to the end of the questions, I'll give you that.
Sorry, but it's
If there is a cost for this
disgraceful.
investigation, how much will it cost? And why has authority not been sought from full council to conduct this investigation? The chairman has authority to commission this investigation under the council's procedures. There is no direct cost. What is this council attempting to hide from the public? By first refusing an audit of 2014-15 accounts and now attempting to conduct a secret investigation. Answer. The council is not hiding anything from the public. The investigation is not a public matter and is not secret but confidential. Now, in answer to what Councillor Brooks was just raising then...
Yeah, and can you tell me where it says the chairman is allowed to make a unilateral decision? You've seen the law.
If you allow me to,
you're not allowed to.
If you allow me to do this, I will...
Please, I just wanted to get that in so you can
I
think
realise what you want, just allow me to answer.
Okay.
In answer to Councillor Brooks' allegation of a secret investigation, and to save him trouble from further questions at a future meeting, I would refer him to NALC Legal Topic Note 1, paragraph 26. This paragraph states that councils do not have a need-to-know right to all aspects of the council's business and cannot claim an automatic right to see all council documentation and information. In other words, councillors are not permitted a fishing expedition in respect of council documentation and information simply because they are councillors.
I think when somebody leaks it out in an anonymous text message, then you should be more. No, I think you should be more open and transparent, Chairman, with all the members and explain exactly what is going on. Because somebody sent this as an anonymous text message.
Item 5, Chairman and members' reports. I've got a report.
I don't think you've answered the questions properly.
Thank you, Chairman.
I don't think you've answered the questions properly.
First thing I wanted to say was
Shouting on me.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
You're
Not
shouting.
you.
Oh. This is a pink folder. One that just so you know. This is kept in the office. I don't know if I've shown this to you before, but it's the promotions and publicity working group. So everything we do now in the group is it's all tabbed in here. Okay. So if anybody ever wants to look in this folder, they're welcome to do so. Just contact the clerk or the assistant clerk. Folders not to be taken away from the office, and it's not really for public use. It's not to be, no disrespect mine, but it's not really meant to be scanned and put on blogs and things because they are meant to be sort of private meetings. But it's not strictly private.
So it's council business. I'm fed up with all this so-called secrecy.
No, it's not secrecy. It's just that it's not formalised into agenda items, so it might be scrappy looking.
It's called being open and transparent.
Yes, please. You're aware of the regulations. If you want to speak, you put your hand up and ask for my permission. You just do not butt in.
All right. Sorry, Chairman. It might be my fault. I didn't mean to aggravate.
Well, the word secrecy sets the alarm bells going.
On October the 1st, so I tell you a couple of things. On October the 1st, the Promotions and Publicity Working Group met, and the agenda that we had, I've taken the trouble to email, in actual fact, everything we did in there, which is in that folder, has actually been emailed to you anyway. So those are now general standard working practice from our working group, is that when we've done the minutes, no matter how badly I write them up, or how badly my spelling is, I will email them out to all members. Okay? As a result of that, we discussed various things which are covered in there, and I'm not going to read it all out. People have got it on email, or they can read it in the pink folder if they need a hard copy. October the 5th, I had a meeting with Roger Beggy, Sarah Furness, I'll keep calling her Ferguson, but it's not, Lawrence Howard and Peter Lawson, and this was attended at Rutland County Museum. It was to discuss the 2016 celebration of Her Majesty's birthday. The message that came through from this meeting was the following. From the Palace's point of view, the Queen said she doesn't want a huge fuss, council shouldn't be spending huge amounts of money, and any events or spectacles that they put on should involve children within the community. And all parishes throughout the county are hopefully going to be laying something on. There is likely to be a National Beacon Lightning event on April the 21st in 2016, but details of this will follow if it's going to happen. The identified date of the local events in line with the national and county celebrations specific to the Queen's birthday, though, will be June the 12th, 2016, which is a Sunday. The event should be free, so in other words, we shouldn't be charging people to attend. And the theme suggested is around either a street party or picnic in the park approach. The council may want to set up a specific working group to manage this on behalf of the council, they may not. The council may want to allocate a budget. Initially I thought £4,000. I now believe, having attended this meeting, that because this is going to be combined with our first band concert weekend, it wouldn't be that much, and it may only cost £2,500. And we've already put a budget in for that first concert anyway, because we were looking at doing the launch, weren't we, next year? There is possible scope to involve local business and obtain sponsors. Initial thoughts: picnicking cuts close, amusements for the children, Rutland concert band attending, public to bring picnics, maybe face painting again, free drinks, free cakes, maybe a specific marquee area set up where people can celebrate in the same milestone birthday, and apparently she's 21. And maybe giving a bit of VIP service by the council and perhaps school children. So there's lots to be thinking about. This is just something to get all of you thinking, because it won't be down to one group that does it. I want everyone from the council to come up with some ideas. The event could run from 12 noon to late afternoon, perhaps even into the early evening, having Wrinkle Rock follow Rutland Concert Band, because originally Wrinkle Rock kick off our band concerts. Anyway, so that was to do with that. So that will be going to the clerk to be included in the minutes. In 12th of October at Rutland County Council, I attended the CCTV consultation at Rutland County Council. I was one of 3 OTC councillors, 1 RCC councillor, 2 police officers, 2 CCTV suppliers with a vested interest, only 2 members of the public, and 1 RCC presenter, Hugh Crouch. Hugh Crouch, I think, put on quite a good show. As a consultation, it was perceived as bolting the stable door. However, RCC have and are now attempting to redress the lack of communication that we expressed our concern at. So I applaud RCC for that. Make sure that goes back. What are you telling me?
Maybe.
12th of October, I attended the World War I Rutland Committee for the First World War commemoration, and very briefly, things that are coming up. The On All Fronts expedition at the museum is up and running from October the 10th to January the 23rd. The Royal British Legion poppy reception at the Rutland County Museum is on October the 20th with the Royal Air Force Central Band Salon Orchestra, or Saloon Orchestra. Something that counts. Salon. So if you haven't got tickets, you know, go sort of thing, buy them. Rutland County Museum, the role of women in the World War lecture planned for January 14, 2016. January 14, 2016. Museum outreach programme planned for 2016. So next year is a big thing where the museums, where children haven't visited the museum, they're going to go out and visit schools and stuff. There's a potential idea to involve twinning with our German friends, as a message coming through is clearly about commemoration. However, equally the stronger recognition that reconciliation is the emphasis for the generations now and in the future. That was discussed. Leicestershire Regiment service on October the 13th at Leicester Cathedral to commemorate Leicester Regiment's darkest day when they lost over 600 men in one action. I attended that, I'm pleased to say, and represented the 10 council. It was very moving. Freedom of entry to Uppingham was discussed, and that is still in the planning stage and no further details at the time. Langham World War I exhibition at Rutland County Museum from May the 7th to June the 11th, 2016. The Somme lecture at Uppingham School planned for 2016. And in 2017 the theme is going to be around Navy in the home front. And in 2018 it's going to be around the centenary of the Royal Air Force. And Rutland County Council are making a bid for the Weeping Window Poppies Tour for 2018. So that's to come to Rutland in 2018. And those of you that saw the poppies at the Windsor Castle, apparently there's a tour going around where you can actually bid to have part of the weeping poppies coming down the side of the castle to come to Rutland. Hopefully they're going to be successful. And that's it, Chairman. Sorry it was a long report, but unfortunately I've been a lot busier than I intended to be. Thank you, Richard, if you want to follow that somewhere. Thank you.
Okay. As Mayor, I've attended 4 events since the last meeting. First one was the 26th of September, which was last night of the proms at the Stamford Corn Exchange. The 6th of October was the Rutland Justice Service court session. On the 7th was the National Lifeboat Institute Lifeboat Lunch at Barnsdale Lodge. And on the 10th was One Voice for Care concert at the Montford Hall. Thank you. Steve, Clark's report.
Okay, everybody, you've got a copy of this in front of you, so I'll be as brief as I possibly can. First item is training. Now, as you're aware, there is a councillors, excuse my syntax, it says was, there is a councillors training course on November the 11th. This is at Anstey in Leicestershire. Now, unfortunately, due to a variety of reasons, only one councillor can attend that, so he has been booked on. Now, the other side of this is that the LRALC are happy to actually come to Oakham to do this for members, which seems to be quite a good idea. It's also quite cost effective. The cost is there at £190 plus mileage cost for Jake, their chief officer. Now, they have suggested sometime during the week commencing the 14th of December. Now, obviously that is very close to Christmas. Members may not feel that they'll be able to make that. It is a 3-hour session. We'll start at 6 o'clock. Now, if you could let me know whether people are available during that week, then we can perhaps firm something up with LRALC. Otherwise, we will be looking into the new year. Okay, but they are happy to come to us, which obviously solves some of the issues that we've had. Next meeting. Okay, so you're all aware that this is going to be a meeting of the council, not the Planning and Parks Committee. You're asked to note that a senior officer from Leicestershire Constabulary will be here prior to the meeting to talk to members. So please be aware that you'll be asked to be here from about 6 o'clock on that evening. Now, the second part of this is the reason for that second meeting is because of purely the amount of business that seems to be coming the council's way. So there is an awful lot on that agenda already. So it is a polite request that unless it's a matter of urgency, could you please refrain from requesting anything on the agenda? Obviously, if we'll try and accommodate you if we can. But bear in mind there is another council meeting only 2 weeks afterwards. Okay, so that's that one. Remembrance service. Alison's, I think, emailed you all. So if you haven't responded to her, could you please let Alison know if you will be at that service on the 8th of November and whether you require reserved seating. There is reserved seating for members of the council and for past mayors of the town. Accountancy software, we've had a presentation from one company. We'll be arranging for another one, and a recommendation to you all will be coming in due course. Similarly, tree survey, that's being in the process of being completed. I think one member actually bumped into the lady conducting it in Cuts Close the other day. So hopefully that should be with us shortly. Risk management, we've now had that report. That is one of the things going on in the October the 28th meeting. And finally, just a note about staff appraisals, that these have now been completed for both myself and the assistant clerk, and will be considered by members of the staffing committee at a meeting on Monday. Now, members of that staffing committee have received their agendas, because that is a statutory requirement. Public notices have gone up, etc., etc. Members of the council who aren't on that committee will be emailed the agenda tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Yes, please.
Should the date of the 28th be the 25th for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Just on the Saturday, I think.
When next Saturday?
Okay.
28th of November, it should be the 20th of October.
I don't think it's going to say, I thought something.
Sorry? Yeah, something's wrong. It's 2 weeks from today.
Got the wrong, just the wrong month rather than the wrong date.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what I meant there.
Good. Okay, item 8 is the budget for 2016-17. This is the first run at the budget, and really it's for... Sorry I've missed that deputation, do apologise.
Right,
is that what your hand's up for?
Yeah, because we forgot it part of subcommittee as well.
Tony, did you want to make a deputation?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. My apologies for that. In my case, to get to the budget. Okay, budget for 2016-17. This is, as just saying, there's the first run at the budget. Obviously, it's very much in draft form at the moment, and it's really to note the contents. But have you any questions to ask about it, knowing that it is very much in its process? Councillor Brooks.
Yes. The first one, obviously, as their representative, I'm very disappointed to see that, despite bringing it up numerous times, that the citizens' advice has not been considered to be included in the budget. I was told it was just pushed away. We have a law which allows us to contribute to the running costs. As we keep being reminded, the residents of Oakham use 50% of their services, which are very good, and we're not contributing anything to them, which I think is appalling. I think we need to look into a figure and possibly look at maybe contributing somewhere near towards what Rutland County Council has taken away from them. That's not huge, it's somewhere in the region of £2,500 to £3,000. But I did ask for it to be on the budget, but it seems to have been ignored. Also, obviously you're going to quote the need to know thing. It's not just coming from me, but in the part about salaries, I noticed there's quite a large increase, and it always seems written that staff automatically get a pay rise. I understand that the 1.5% comes from guidance from either a local government organisation, but if you talk to many people who work in local government, many of them haven't had a pay rise for the last 5 years. You know, so, and I'm told that it's very difficult when Richard's sitting here, but I'm told that it's in his contract that he's entitled to a pay rise. I find that a very extraordinary situation if that is the case, and I'd ask the finance working group to look into it and actually let us know what the situation is on that, please. And I did mark one more thing, which I've now forgotten. Here. But Adam had already highlighted the fact that that figure could be reduced. I thought I have already sent in an email about the Queen's birthday celebrations, and this has been talked about on social media, and I put forward the suggestion that we went somewhere down the line of St Albans, which did for the Diamond Jubilee, where they provided tables and there were food vans and people brought their own picnics to the high street. Music was provided. I mean, even with a figure of £2,500, I find that extraordinary when you consider that when this council did the Diamond Jubilee for that sum, a member of the council tried to repeat that for another activity, and this council said that we wouldn't be spending that sort of money again. And that was under Mrs Woodcock's time as mayor that was said. So I would hope that if a group is set up on that, that budget could be drastically reduced. You know, members of the public will be very happy to contribute, you know, in the fact if it's their own food, drink or whatever. You know, we could, I think the word is emulate what actually happened on the Diamond Jubilee, because nothing apart from the Cuts Close thing happened. King's Road residents set up their own very successful street party. So I thought it would be nice if it could be one in the high street along here. But anyway, we better not go on because that's talking about planning that, but it was just a concern that £4,000 seemed to be huge.
Okay, thank you for that. Obviously, this is, I've said before, this is the first stab at it, and obviously if you feel strongly about the grants, then you can bring that back at a later stage and see if you can convince the council that they should do that.
I have no problems with I'm not talking about grants, you're misunderstanding it with the citizen's advice. It's not a grant procedure. Under the statutory laws which Richard told me about, we can fund the citizen's advice and other organisations like that in the same way. The citizen's advice don't apply to Rutland County Council for a grant. It's tendered. Okay. But
it's a point you can raise, obviously, during the discussions about the budget and see if you can.
Yeah, well, I'm just raising it because I've already raised it and it's been struck off.
Okay.
So
well, you can bring that back at a later date, can't you?
I thought it was an option to do it this evening.
Well, I mean, I doubt we're just going to be considering it at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll answer it that way. Yeah, okay. Talking about the clerk's salary, the clerk is contracted under the National Joint Council for Local Government Services, which is linked into a National Pay Award. The National Pay Award is usually granted annually. It has been at a very, very low level for a few years now. The estimate there is for a 1.5% increase in this coming year. We have a contractual agreement with the clerk, which we have to abide by unless we can negotiate that with him. So if the National Pay Award runs at 1%, then the clerk gets 1%, or whatever it comes out at. You're talking about a 23% increase, or a large increase in pay. That you'll probably find that comes through on the pensions.
Which I wanted to talk about later.
Which you'll be talking about later on. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other points on budget?
I have a brief one on the promotions publicity working group. Our initial first thoughts budget, which is nightmare, isn't it? Our first thoughts budget is what's been emailed out, I hope, to you all. Even though we're on a group, anybody that has any input, because in actual fact you'll see it's a very ambitious budget we've set. We've not set, we've just talked about. So email back to me or to the other members sort of saying what you honestly think. Right, so Martin said £4 for the Queen is too much. He's right. And we can reduce it. But email us back, because we will be meeting again to finalise it. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, and that's purely for you to note, and it will come back at every council meeting until the budget is set.
Can I just add that it's good that we're starting now instead of the usual last minute thing, and thank you
I
for
think
the
we
working
usually start in
group.
October. We always start in October.
I know, but it always seems to be rushed at the last minute.
Well, it's a usual start date.
Still rush it last minute.
One goes and slash, we don't know the tax base.
Yeah, we have problems with the tax base because Rutland County Council don't let us know what that is until mid-December.
Yeah.
So that is always a bit of a moving feast. So until we know that, you can't have a definitive budget or something. Okay, next item is number 9, which is pension provision. Well,
Any questions on the first, and then
okay, I presume everybody's read this. I mean, we've had the papers a number of days now, so I'd expect everybody to have read it. And if they had questions, to have asked them prior to this meeting. But is there any comments want to be made? Michael, you stand up, Michael.
In some ways, it seems invidious for the clerk to be putting the case for his own pension and the assistant clerk. Could we not quickly, a councillor, quickly on behalf of the council, take some specialist advice from an IFA who knows this area? There are lots of various small and large pension funds about, and as a result of that, make a proposal to the council, and then the 2 members of staff, the clerk and the assistant clerk, should have the opportunity to take their own advice on what is proposed.
Thank you. Can I just answer that one? Under the clerk and the assistant clerk's contract of employment, this council subscribes to the local government pension scheme, and it is written into their contract of employment that they may join that pension scheme. So it is already a condition of employment.
May join it.
If they wish to. But now we've got new pension provisions where we have to enrol. When it was written, it may be. They didn't have to join it, and the clerk was given a 6% supplement. Now, under the new provisions, which I think the staging date is March next year, it is a requirement that we enrol all staff into a pension scheme. And as the contract of employment states, it will be the local government pension scheme. Then really we can't do much else than enrol them in the local government pension scheme unless we negotiate with them and change that contract of employment. Did that answer it?
Yes, it's an answer, yeah.
Okay, it's an answer. Okay. Councillor Brooks.
I would actually like to see a copy of the contract that actually states that, because my view is that the staff have benefited considerably well. You know, they're not in hardship, and to get the 6% in lieu of that, what I'm concerned.
Okay, would you like to leave?
Thank you, Richard, because I always feel bad about talking about it. But I agree with Mr. Elliott. I think it's totally inappropriate that the clerk has been asked to do this. The pension fund, I find it surprising that it is being read that you may enter that fund is the only option, because we're told here that the minimum the council has to contribute to that fund is 23%. That is negotiable. What the clerk hasn't done is told us what benefits there are. Under the local government pension scheme, unfortunately I didn't bring the scale provided by a Rutland County councillor, but some of you had emails. Ashfordby Council pay a flat fee of £6,000 for staff bill higher than ours. Some pay 29%, but you're talking about huge organisations and people in high positions. The whole thing it's insurance basically, it's a product. And when we're told that we have to pay 23% minimum, we shouldn't be. We should be able to go out and look for what the government sets as the minimum of 1% and going up to 3% in 2 years' time. We should be able to go to an independent person. If we feel as councillors that the staff are doing a wonderful job and they deserve to have this full package, then perhaps we vote and do that. But we should be given some alternatives that are not going to cost the taxpayer as much as what this is going to cost. I mean, when you look at the figures of what they're actually paying out, they also say it's only an average of 23%, another 23% of the staff's pay is paid on retirement. So that's something that's also you can shop around for. So I'm not disputing that you've read that as that, but I would like clarification that, and I find it extraordinary that we've got contracts which have basically tied the council up into the fact that we have to go into the most expensive fund, when actually as an employer we could just say to them, because we're not allowed to say to anybody by law, don't enter it. That's their choice. But what we can do is we can say we can't afford to pay all that money, and we give a bare minimum pension. As far as I can work out through that high fee, it probably includes many benefits such as terminal illness, sickness benefits, and all sorts of things. But it's not being put in front of us to even tell us what those benefits are. And we're being asked to decide on it, and the clerk hasn't even said what he is going to be willing to contribute. So I won't go on to that. I hope I've made my...
I think what it is, you're getting two percentages there mixed up. There's two contributions to the pension scheme. One is the employees, which is an average of about 6%.
Yes.
And then there's the employers' contribution, which will be, I suppose, told us by the local government pension scheme at Leicestershire County Council. The contracts of employment for the clerk were set with him in 2004 when he joined, and with the assistant clerk I think it was 2009. So both of those contracts of employment have been in place now, well, in the clerk's instance for 11 years, in the assistant clerk's place for about 6 years, and they are a right. Now then, the only way we can get away from that and to put them into a separate scheme is for them to agree to do it. And if I was in that position, I wouldn't.
No.
Because, I mean, you can see a booklet on the local government pension scheme which gives you all the benefits, but we are really now tied to this because of the contractual arrangements.
Yeah. Can I just come back?
Yeah.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that I think someone from either the staffing committee or the finance group needs to go to the local government pension people if we are tied to it, because that figure of 23% is subject to them telling us it's that as a rough idea, but if the staff pay more in, that figure goes down. So we need to know exactly what the benefits are, we can choose with that pension fund not to have all the benefits. There are people listed, and as for the scales, each people do it differently. I was sent a link to a website for, I think it was Brent Council, and they give specific charges for however much the staff do, which is normal. They've gone to the pension fund and said, this is what we want to do. What can you do for us? We've just relied on the clerk going there, and he's just provided us with a very basic thing. Now somebody needs to speak to, and it shouldn't be the clerk or Alison, it needs to be somebody, even if it's yourself as the chairman, and then you have to come back with the option with the benefits and without the benefits, so that people can decide whether that's the staffing committee decides or whatever. You know, we shouldn't just be given the best full package.
Okay. I would point you to the last paragraph of the background notes, which says that the pension regulator needs to be informed by the 1st of November, which scheme the council's in.
Oh yeah,
so we've got very little time to do this in, if that's
we're already late. By law, we're only allowed to delay this for 3 months. We've passed 5 months. So
delay what, sorry?
It says on the website that we cannot delay enrolment by more than 3 months.
No, so we're up against the
But we're already past 5 month point, so I don't know if there's any penalty or anything for this. But the other issue as well is there's no mention about, you know, we get a figure saying this is what our national insurance contributions are, and that when in fact if you go for the salaried sacrifice scheme, that would reduce that bill. There's no mention of that. And there's also no real mention about the fact that it's contracted out and how that affects national insurance bills. So it's
Do you want
not
to make a proposal?
Well, I'd rather that perhaps Mr. Elliott did it as a member of the Finance Committee, because he would, I think he probably has a similar feelings on it as me and perhaps other members, but I would need to know who would be willing to do it. I'm not going to offer to do it because I'm not qualified to do that, but it needs somebody who's not going to be fobbed off by them because they are selling a product at the end of the day.
Are there any other questions on this before I ask for a proposal?
Well, can I just add to what I said, Mr. Chairman, that you've got the beginnings of a feeling there that this has been left to the last minute before it's come up, and then it's open to anybody to feel that it's too compressed and that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
And it's another reason why I use the word invidious, that the whole thing should be in the clerk's domain. I don't think it's fair really to him and his assistant, or really to the council, if it is only being brought up 2 weeks away from the deadline.
Okay. Well, we have another council meeting in a fortnight's time on the 28th, was it, Paul? So we could do that investigation and report back to that council, and then you can make that decision at that point if that is what you wish.
So the proposal I didn't. What I said to start with was that a specialist advice should be sought by a councillor. It would have to be a councillor as opposed to the clerk, on behalf of the council. Get a more detailed perspective on the subject, and then how it alights on the two members of staff here, and that those two members of staff should then themselves be able to get independent advice as well, if necessary paid for by the council.
Okay, so I mean the independent advice, I mean yeah, don't come back in, I think we're talking about generalisms now. The point is that the clerk and the deputy clerk has the ability to join the local government pension scheme if they so choose. So if we get independent advice, that's not going to alter that effect, is it? The only thing we can do, if I can just finish, is to get more information from the local pension scheme and then bring that back to the next meeting on the 28th for you to make a decision.
Well, the point about the independent advice is that it will give a better perspective on the total arrangement, so that in a year's time or 2 years' time, no one can turn around and say, well, the clerk's ordered this, or too much, or too little, or anything else. It sounds as if it should be.
First and foremost, Alison and I can join the local government pension scheme. The local government pension scheme, myself and Alison are required in statute to make a contribution to it. That is in bands between 5.5% and 12.5%, depending on our earnings. So Alison, I think, will pay 5.5% of her earnings as her contribution. I will pay slightly more than that because I earn more than Alison. However, the council as the employer has to make a contribution too. And that contribution is fixed currently at 23% and is governed nationally and is fixed until April 2017.
No, Alan Walters sent me a scale from it and it varies, it's negotiable.
No, I believe the thing that Alan Walters sent you...
Can I stop this now? Look, we're not having cross-table chatter, right?
Okay, I apologise.
If you want to speak, you put your hand up now.
That's why we need to get this in a working group with either the finance group, so those things can be ironed out. Well, I asked Mr. Elliott. It should not have come to council in this state.
Richard, I used the word invidious originally because it seems pretty wrong that you should have to sit and justify something for your own ends or for Alison's. And it would be much better if somebody separate from you two, being fair to both of you and everybody else, was doing that. So there isn't in that thought any intention to deny you something. So a proposal would be to get an independent confirmation of exactly what the position is in relation to the clerk and assistant clerk's pension arrangements, and for the council to be aware of that and what their options are, if any.
Is that the proposal you make?
Yeah.
Can I just remind you, Councillor Brooks, that no, you've spoken enough.
Well, I know that.
Just
To
a
me,
minute.
there's a serious issue that
Well, there
really
might- there
the
might
clerk
be,
has
but
turned
still
around
about-
and said that, you know, that he's
Councillor-
got this contract.
Councillor Elliott's
He's
proposed
had
having an
money for the
independent
last
advice on
11
I
it.
can't hear, sorry.
Can we
Councillor-
please have some order
Yes,
at this council meeting?
please. Can you please indicate if you want to speak rather than just...
Yeah,
no,
can I
no
just
more.
raise that
You've had
issue
enough.
about the clerk being paid 6%? That must be taken into
We're
consideration.
aware of
into
that,
this.
fully aware of that. Fully aware of it. It's in the report.
I know,
Chairman,
but
can we please
Yes.
move on? Because
Thank you.
this is going
I
on
have-
and on and on.
I
We're doing the
have...
same thing
Councillor
over and over
Stubbs,
again.
Councillor Stubbs, I have a proposal from Councillor Elliott that we obtain independent advice on this from an independent advisor, and that we get a report back to the next council meeting, I presume, on the 28th of October, and at that date we can then make a decision. We cannot leave it till after that date because we have to notify the pensions regulator by the 1st of November. Do I have a seconder for that?
sorry.
Can I remind you? Are you seconding it?
I'd like to add to the
You've
point.
already said enough
Yes,
today.
but no, I'd like to
Do
add.
I have a seconder, please?
I will second that motion.
We need to add
Is
to
there
the
amendment?
point of also looking at the contract, somebody independent to look at that,
We
because
don't need independent
what you
look
do,
at contracts.
because for 11 years the clerk has said he didn't want a pension
Councillor
and we
Brooks.
paid him money.
Councillor Brooks, it was an agreement at the time, and that's it.
But there must be some compensation for the fact that they now want the pension. If you take money
Councillor
for
Brooks, how many
11
times
years
I would
saying
have to
you
tell
don't
that
want
the
it,
£6,000 will then, sorry, the 6% will be taken away.
yes, but there should be compensation for the fact that the clerk agreed that he didn't want the pension.
No, well,
You can't change your mind. If you say for
Councillor
11
Brooks.
years you don't want the pension,
Councillor Brooks, you're
and
talking
you
without
take
knowledge
money.
at the moment,
Sorry.
so don't talk without knowledge.
But what I'm saying, Chairman,
I know,
is
I
that
don't-
if
I've had
the
enough
clerk
from you now.
takes, if the clerk takes money saying he doesn't want a pension, there must be some compensation to the town council for that money that's been paid. You can't just write that
Councillor
off.
Brooks, I agree with that. The
No,
point
I
is-
don't believe so, because the
What's your
taxpayers
Can
have
you sit
paid.
down,
for-
Councillor
the
Brooks,
taxpayers
please?
have
Councillor
paid
Brooks,
for years
sit down.
for no
No, I'm not
pension,
taking-
and now they've got to just
Councillor
ignore
Brooks,
that.
I'll say this, and I'm not going to say it again, and I don't want you standing up without indicating. The point is, it was a contract of employment. He was allowed 6%, right?
Because he
And
didn't
then
want a
just
pension.
You be quiet. He was allowed 6%, which he could up to him whether he joined a pension scheme or not. If he wanted to buy his own pension, he could.
Yeah, that's
That's
fine.
it. So there's no
But
compensation.
now he
from that.
wants it because it's a
Yes,
benefit, and it's going to
I've
cost
got a
the
proposal that
taxpayer a
we
lot of
have
money.
independent advice from
Councillor Elliott.
an independent advisor, and that report will then come back to the next meeting of this council on the 28th of October for us to make a decision. Councillor Elliott's proposed that. Do I have a second?
I seconded it already.
Councillor
Low.
Lowe, was it?
Yeah.
All those in favour of that?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion is carried.
Abstention.
Sorry? One abstention. Who was the abstention? I missed that. Right, moving on to development of a strategic plan and operational plans. This is to Councillor Haley, which I'm sure will be very short. Councillor Haley?
Short.
You will have taken a chance to read it. I would just say it was written in the spirit of continued improvement. It wasn't intended as a critique, and I would be disappointed if it was construed or misconstrued any other way. That's all I have to say, thank you.
So, what proposals do you want to make on this?
On the paper,
Yeah.
I'm proposing a small working group is formed to write a draft strategic plan for council's consideration. Thank you very much.
So you want a working group of 2 councillors plus the clerk
Yes.
on this?
And that working group is dissolved on completion of the project.
It's a task and finish working group.
Sorry?
A task and finish working group.
Yes, yes. And that if and when a strategic plan is adopted, it's included as a standing item at all council meetings.
Okay. Okay. Do I have any nominations to join the strategic plan working group? Councillor Brooks.
I just want to make a comment.
Well, you're not, I'm not asking for comments, I'm asking for proposals.
We're allowed to comment on a report. It's positive.
Just a note, well, go on then, a quick positive comment would be nice.
Yes. I'd just like to say thank you very much, Mr. Haley, for doing something which has been asked of this council since 2010 and rejected, and I hope that you're successful with it.
Do you have any proposals for members to join?
Well, I propose nominate Mr. Healy.
Mr. Haley. Councillor Haley.
Second.
A second for that, please. Councillor Studd. Any more proposals? Councillor Haley's on. No? Well, I propose myself then, if it's going to come down to that.
I'll second that.
Can I propose you, Mr. Dewey?
You're still talking.
I was just proposing you as chairman.
You stand up and do that, not just shout out. Okay, we now have Councillor Haley and myself, so there's no need to vote on that, that's the two, is it?
We could vote on it.
Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Lucas, member to tree.
Thank you, Chairman. You will tell me if I'm shouting.
Pardon?
Because of this.
You can speak up, please.
This is an English idea put by the Woodland Trust. I have done a lot of research on this. It is not a forest. It is not a wood. It is a grove to commemorate the 600th anniversary of the Battle of Agincourt. I did query the fact that they were mostly oaks, because a lot of yew was used in the Battle of Agincourt, but that was told. I've researched it, and the gentleman I researched it from said it takes a long time for trees to grow, yew trees to grow, hence the fact they've cloned them from Sandringham Estate and the Sherwood Oak. It was then thought perhaps this might go on Tresham ground, this small grove of oak trees. It wouldn't have taken up the whole of Tresham ground, but when you start to look at it, they were whips. Then you have to think that in 50, 60 years' time, somebody's got to look after these trees, and I think that's too big a job for Oakham Town Council in 60 years' time. That's an awful lot of trees, up to 60 trees. So then I spoke to the gentleman in question, and he has suggested one standard oak tree planted in Cuts Close. This will involve the archaeological people. The Woodland Trust are willing to donate this tree. It's a standard 6 foot with a, as I've said here, with a protective shield around it, whatever you like to call it. But be aware that it will involve the archaeological people. I think it's a thing we should be doing. Most of the parishes have been informed now, and the NFU have now gone to all the farmers to plant the groves. So all I'm asking is for your opinions on whether we should go with this one oak tree. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think if we go along with this idea, then it will be up to the clerk to liaise with the Woodland Trust, not me. Thank you.
Okay. Before you ask any questions, Dale.
Sorry.
You're back on.
Well done, mate.
The last archaeological survey in Cuts cost £580, and I believe it doesn't mean to say that they'll do one every time, Richard.
That was for 4 trees.
It was still for half a day's work, Joyce. So
It's only 1 tree though.
yeah, but we will still be charged for half a day. It's either half a day or a full day. So the last time that we did it, we obviously had to apply for scheduled monument consent from Heritage England, which we would have to do. They may or may not grant that consent. They may or may not insist on archaeological supervision. All the chairman's just said is that last time the fee from University of Leicester Archaeological Services came to £580 for those 4 trees.
Okay. This is 1 tree. It doesn't mean to say it's going to be a quarter of the cost.
No.
It's a standard charge. Any questions? Any comments? Mr. Milton.
It was £580 to the survey the last time. Does that survey not stand? I mean, once you've surveyed it, surely you have a map.
Any time you put a spade in the ground, before you put a spade in the ground and cuts close, you have to have a survey.
Despite the fact it's been surveyed and
it might not be the same place.
Basically, because of the trees, Joyce, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the tree will be bare rooted. Am I right?
Me? Yes. Sorry.
So the reason why archaeological supervision was needed last time, because the trees that were put in, the oaks and 2 replacement lime trees, they were bare rooted, so the roots were obviously quite large and the hole was quite deep. So because we were going down a certain depth, Heritage England said we need archaeological supervision in case the people who were digging the holes turned something up. So it was specific to those holes, not...
So it's not on the survey of
Isn't that the whole?
No, that would be considerable amount. That's Brooks.
Yeah. Can I make a suggestion, Joyce? When I sat over there, you had a plan for Royce Recreation Ground and your avenue of trees. It wouldn't then cost the taxpayers any money or the council any money for this archaeological dig where they look in when you're planting a tree. Can I suggest that a location is found at Royce Recreation Ground? Because to be honest, I also remember you saying that Cuts Close wasn't a place for oak trees before the Diamond Jubilee oaks were put there, and I think there's enough trees in that corner and it would become, obviously not in our lifetime, a bit overcrowded. Oaks get big.
Okay, thank you. Any other points? Anybody? Good.
It is I'm not being flippant, so don't take this as me being flippant. Agincourt was 600 years ago, and I just wondered the relevance of Agincourt when we have had Waterloo was 200 years ago. There's no sort of remembrance to Waterloo in the town. The Battle of Naseby was 1645, which is in Northamptonshire, just down the road, which was the English Civil War. We did have Gallipoli, the Peninsula Battle, which was 1915. I've just wondered why they'd chosen Agincourt rather than whether I've missed something.
Can I just say Google's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
That was from history at school.
Okay, thank you.
That was
Did you want to respond to that?
To what? Anything. What I'm passionate about is that we, Oakham Town Council, are not left behind once again. It is county-wide. It will go out, if anybody is going to Parish Forum, the Woodland Trust will be giving a presentation. That's next week, I think. I am sure other parishes will take up the offer. I agree probably with Councillor Brooks. There is a tree that I still feel has got to come down by the... Thank you. I showed it to Councillor Howard this week. There is a tree that's diseased. That could come out. An oak tree could go in, not quite in its same place. It would save us money, but I don't want to be left behind again, Oakham Town Council left behind again, when everybody's starting to grab these trees.
Okay.
I think probably Royce's recreational ground is quite a good idea. There isn't any room for an oak tree in the avenue. There isn't. They get too big for the avenue as it is. There is a tree that's got to come out at the avenue, but an oak tree in 60 years' time will smother every other tree. I think probably, if Councillor Howard will back me on this one, we take out that disease tree, which is near to the hub, or whatever we're going to call it, and ask for this tree ASAP. Well, actually, the gentleman in question has put it on one side, and he will be told yay or nay sometime this week.
Are you making a proposal then, Joyce? Proposal?
Yeah, that we perhaps get this bare-rooted tree. If need be, we could plant it in one of our allotments. I'm not having it in my garden again. I did that last time. Until a suitable time for taking down this diseased tree and putting this one in. Does that make sense as a proposal?
Not really, no.
Right, the proposal is to say to Woodland Trust, yes please, we'll have the tree that you're going to donate with your guard and your plaque, and we'll plant it in Royce's recreational ground.
I'll second that.
Hang on. Are there any other comments about what Joyce has proposed? Okay. You're second.
I'll second that. Yeah.
Okay. All those in favour?
Sorry, may I just ask one question?
Yeah.
It's to Joyce really. The disease tree,
Yes,
if the oak is planted fairly near to it,
that's why I've just said that.
yeah, I know, it won't be contagious. The
No.
disease can't be passed on.
Clear it.
Okay. A proposal and a seconder. All those in favour?
Is the clerk going to deal with it from now on, please?
The assistant clerk.
Oh, this is the
Somebody,
clerk
yeah.
or somebody.
Item 12, poll cards. As you know, there's an election being called in Oakham North West, and we need to make a decision on whether we wish to pay for the delivery of poll cards for that election. You've got in front of you the cost of the last time we had an election in Oakham North West, where we had poll cards, just over 2,500 electors, and the cost was £1,052.40p. I'll wait for your comments on that. I'll leave Councillor Brooks again. You're having a fair comment tonight, aren't you? Yeah, go on.
Sorry, but yeah, well, it's important to say it if you feel something. What concerns me is the £807.40 postage. Many of us will probably notice that Rutland County Council people actually deliver them by hand, so I'm just wondering why we're being charged postage for. There would obviously be a fee for staff to be delivering them, but I don't see why we're paying postage.
Okay. Take the point, but do we want this year to have poll cards or not? Is the question being asked?
As I was involved in the election, I feel it's only fair that the people who are prospective members putting themselves forward should expect that poll cards should go away.
Absolutely.
Is that a proposal? A proposal, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, are there any other, just a minute, hang on.
I'm sorry.
Any other comments? We've had proposals for. Anybody against this at all? I've not heard a word.
No.
Just a minute. Are you speaking about
Yes.
it? Yeah, okay.
I do find that there is confusion as to who can vote at this one. There are a lot of people in town that think they can vote for the North West Ward
Yeah, well,
Council.
they'll be disappointed, won't they, if they turn out?
Yeah, but having a poll card through your door actually galvanises people into voting. And that's just my comment.
I've had the opposite effect in that somebody said, oh, I haven't got my poll card, so I didn't go to vote.
Yeah,
She
no,
couldn't find her
that's what
poll
I'm saying.
card, therefore she didn't bother to vote, because she didn't have a poll card.
She didn't have a poll card.
She had one delivered but couldn't find it on the day, and therefore didn't bother to vote because she couldn't find the poll card. So it could go both ways on that. Okay, do you have a proposal then for this?
The proposal from Stan.
Stan, you propose that we send poll cards out for this election.
Yes.
Seconded by Joyce.
Yeah.
All those in favour? All those against? Okay, item 13, suspension of standing order. Sorry? Not that precious. So, suspending standing order, using standing order 10, using standing order 12 to, in that order, that items 14, 15 and 16 on the agenda can be considered, because parts of these were dealt with within the 6-month period. So rather than saying which bits were or weren't, we're going to cover the whole lot to say that it should be, we should suspend standing order 12 to consider these as it would have been within the last 6 months. Okay? Can I have a proposal for that, please? Councillor Stubbs, second. Councillor Brooks, in favour? No, unanimous.
No, I'm against.
You're against? Okay, that's vote. Okay?
Always minute. If in doubt, minute away. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the first item there, 14, is the former fitness centre at 2 Princess Avenue. There's been some consideration, some comment recently that this council is not totally in favour of relocating to the old fitness centre. This has come up following Alan's resignation from one of the groups, and I think that this council should be sure, because this is a new council. The decision was made by the old council pre-May this year, and therefore I would like to consider whether they still wish to relocate. Any comments? Okay, that's it.
I really don't think at this stage we have enough information to make a decision. I think we need to have a proper costed business plan that we can then consider, rather than taking a straw poll, so to speak.
Councillor Brooks?
I don't want to upset Mr. Haley, and I do approve of the business of that we need plans and things. I said that many times about this project, but a lot of time has been put into this project. Now, the only way forward is the council can change its mind, but the people working on this project need to know that they're not wasting their time. That, you know, it should also say there, are we going to have a community hub? Because the second part says to agree and name. Why on earth are we agreeing a name on something?
Can we stick to the point?
Well, it's part of it.
No, it's not. It's the first one.
It's number 2. Okay, sorry, Chairman. But okay. No, I just basically think we need to make the decision whether this council wants to move, and it has to be not like so people get confused, like I was about something at the CCTV meeting. It's a simple yes or no, and then people know where we move from, because if it comes back later down the line that it's costing too much money or it's impractical, that can be brought to the council.
Okay, thank you.
We just need to.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Councillor Brooks. I feel that if they're going to move forward, they need to know whether or not this new council approves it before a lot more work is going to be done. It's futile to do the work when possibly the majority don't want to move, and I think the decision should be made tonight.
Okay.
So,
Okay, thank you. I mean, it is a point, because later on we'll be looking at appointing architects, which is going to be fairly costly, and we need to be sure in our own minds this is what we want to do before committing ourselves to the expansion.
Obviously, I think enough has been said about the fitness centre and about getting fed up with that tooth with it, honestly. I think I would propose that under 14.1 that the council relocate to the fitness centre. So that is a proposal on the table, as in line with what we decided in the early part of this year.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Any other comments? Yes.
depending on Michael's business plan, if we went with the plans that are already in motion, it wouldn't matter then if the council decided not to move afterwards. We could still rent out either side of the building. So even if you went along with the remodelling, it doesn't matter about the moving. You could decide that afterwards, because either way you'd rent out both sides.
I think possibly the point is that we're looking at converting half of it into offices, which would possibly not be what we want to do if we want to use it for other things. But, you know, that's one. Okay, I've got a proposal now that we relocate to the premises at 2 Princess Avenue. Have a second, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joyce.
Go on, don't argue about it. Who's going to do it?
I'll
Joyce, you're right. Okay, all those in favour of relocating to 2 Princess Avenue? 3. All those against? 3. 4. 4. Oh, 4, sorry, no. Abstaining? 4. Oh, that's fairly well split. No. So the point there is that the proposal is that, we do not relocate to Princess Avenue on a vote of 4 to 3 with 4 abstentions.
And that means you've wasted a year of councillors' time.
Councillor Brooks, what have I been saying to you all meeting?
Just
Councillor Brooks, what I've been saying to you, please abide by it.
I can see why Adam is.
Well, Councillor Brooks.
He's more professional than me, though. But if I was him, I'd...
May I change my vote actually from
No.
abstaining to no?
Sorry, I can't hear.
No, the vote has been taken, sorry.
Councillors
Okay.
should never
Chairman, can I
abstain.
say something?
Yeah, sure, go on.
I think in light of the fact that the council have chosen to reverse a decision that it made earlier on in the year, that the council should still consider having work done at the fitness centre, because as contained within this blue paper, it does state that the building is not fit for anything except a gymnasium in its current state, and that we should still consider having the work done that's proposed in this document. So I don't know if I'm able to propose that the council still has the work done, but I'd like to try that.
You probably can do that when we reach that point on the agenda. Okay.
I think we
Okay.
have to decide what we want to do with it.
Am I having difficulty with this? I mean, I don't have any time to tell
No, I'm just disappointed because
Okay,
this
well,
went
you don't
out to press and we're
be
supposed to be
silently
moving, being
disappointed.
part of the community and having a community hub. And that's why I came on this council. It's just pathetic.
Right, thank you.
We
We've
have
got-
no purpose in this
Councillor
community.
Brooks, can you possibly contain yourself?
And we're paying for the
Can you
building
possibly-
while it
Councillor
sits there empty. Thousands of pounds to that stupid council up the road.
Thank you. Right. Second one is to agree on a name for the building, considering on the vote which has just been made.
Sorry, can I make a proposal that that's deferred before I go mental?
Well, we've not discussed it yet, so I won't take a proposal just yet.
It's a
Discussion.
joke.
Sorry?
I'm asking for views on 14.2 to agree on the name for the building.
I've just given up, sorry, John.
Okay. Any other councillor?
I think it should have Oakham Town Council in the label, like
Community
Councillor
centre.
Lowe's wife suggested. It needs to have Oakham Town Council so that the community knows it actually, Oakham Town Council is actually doing something for it, for whatever purpose we use it for in the future. So something like Oakham Town Council Community Hub, Oakham Town Council Community Centre.
Okay. Councillor Brooks, you want to make a point?
Yeah, if we were still going down the road that we don't really know what we're going to do with the building now, because I can't see that it's going to be left half empty. But I would have said that if we were going to name it this evening, I didn't, no offence to Joyce, but it was just basically the fact that it's been named that annoyed me, that it was local, when this should be an Oakham-wide thing, and I do like the idea of including Oakham Town Council in the name, but I think it should just be Oakham Community Hub, if that's what it happens to.
Thank you. Anybody else who should make a statement? Can I have a proposal then, please?
Yeah, I'll propose Natra Oakham Town Council Community Centre.
I'll second that.
Second.
Yeah.
Sorry?
He seconded that.
Oh, I did.
Yes. So, thank you.
Okay, do I take any other? Any others or just vote on it?
If it falls on them,
Okay. Okay, the proposal is that the previous fitness centre at 2 Princess Avenue is called Oakham Town Council Community Centre. We have a proposal and a seconder. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9. All those against? Abstentions?
Yeah. I've
Abstain?
lost the will to live. Sorry.
I don't even see why we're considering any of these.
Well, thank you very much.
Chairman, may I just say that if it's any consolation, Martin, in 6 months we'll probably be changing it, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, it's like the next item to propose layout. We don't know what we want to do with it, so all this should be deferred now, and the working group should come back with new ideas. We're just wasting time because we should not be appointing. Sorry. Yeah, can I propose that the whole matter dealing with the former fitness centre is now deferred because we can't
14.3 and 14.4 you're talking about?
All of it.
Can't do. We've already voted on it. On one.
No, all the remaining things to do with the fitness centre are deferred until the working group comes back with what they actually want.
Propose that 14.3 and 14.4 is deferred.
Yeah.
I have a second for that, please.
Can I make a comment on that before it's seconded? Just,
Yeah, sure.
You can second it in a minute. Yeah? I would support that actually because the McCombie Smith proposed £5,000 invoice, or the works for drawing up the tender and the documents, is excessive, because in 2011 we paid 336 for advice and 1,016 for a refurbishment plan. So if less than 4 years ago it only cost less than £1,500, then £5,000 now would suggest that whoever does take this on doesn't look at McCombie Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a proposer and a seconder.
Who seconded it?
Vince.
Remind me what that's for.
To defer.
To defer, thank you, I can read that. To defer 14.3 and 14.4 for further information.
Working group to come back.
The working group to come back on and give us another report on following the decision not to relocate to the premises. Okay, all those in favour, deferring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Everybody.
Unanimous. Thank you very much.
The Chairman, may I make one final comment about
Yeah, quickly.
Before we knew what we were doing last time, there was a group set up to put forward options for the use of that. We've almost reached that stage again, so that needs to be considered at some point.
I think that could be considered by the working group. Yeah. Okay. Item 15, appointment of members to working groups. Okay, and the first one is to appoint a member to the Neighbourhood Plan Working Group. This is because Councillor Blanksby resigned, so it's a replacement for Councillor Blanksby. All those in favour? So we have a proposal first.
Can I ask?
Yeah, I know.
Can I ask what the terms and the reference of that working group is, bearing in mind that this week I was told by Rutland County councillors that some of them had been invited to the working group. I want to know whether this is actually a working group that's supposed to be just advising so we make a yes or no decision, or whether it is in fact a working group that is implementing the start of the plan.
I thought it was a plain opposite. We've said it so many times.
No, it's not been clear what the purpose of the group is.
I'm speaking. I've said it numerous times now. Councillor Haley, I'll leave you to actually tell.
The remit is to undertake the priority work prior to any work commencing on the plan. So what we're doing now is exploratory. We will come back to council for the council to decide whether or not it wishes to be involved in a neighbourhood development plan for Oakham and possibly surrounding area.
Who's on the plan at the minute? Who's on that group at the minute?
Yes.
Me.
Councillor Haley, myself, and Councillor Hopkins.
Me? No.
Sorry, not Councillor Hopkins, Councillor Howard. But
Say that again, sorry.
myself, Michael Haley, Vince, and we need one more to replace David Black.
Can I nominate Jasmine on that basis? But I will be hoping that the group will be coming very soon to the council for the decision. Because otherwise, from what I'm being told, some Rutland County councillors, not the one present, so I'm not embarrassed, are talking about taking on the external role of this without us. The decision needs to be made.
Thank you.
Your report.
I'll second that proposal.
You shouldn't listen to Rutland County councillors who have no inside information on what's happening.
Sorry.
No, but there are councillors, there are Oakham Ward councillors who are appalled by this council.
No.
This is on scope.
This is something you're putting forward.
We need a yes or no.
There's Rutland County councillors that have no knowledge of what's happening. It's difficult for them to pass any comment on it.
But you're just stalling it. You need a yes or no answer.
You'll be getting a report at the next council
This
meeting.
report we've been given tonight is just cut and
You're not being
pasted
given a
from
report.
the internet.
There's nothing on this.
We have a report, was
You don't
put
have
in
a
our
report on the
agenda.
agenda tonight.
No, but we
No,
were
right,
given
okay.
a report
Now, would
which
you
is
listen
cut
to me?
and pasted.
There is a report coming to the next meeting of the council in 14 days' time. Okay?
But that's the problem, people don't communicate anything. There's
Well, I've
too
just
much
told you.
secrecy.
I've just told you. Councillor Stubbs.
Chairman, almost since the word go tonight, we've had to sit here and listen to Councillor Brooke. All night,
Brooks.
and it's still going on. Councillor Brooks is still going on. He's not recognising the chair. How much longer have we got to put out with this?
Thank you. Right, we have a proposal for Councillor Hopkins and seconded by Councillor Howard. All those in favour?
Is Gentleman Hopkins happy to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool, yeah.
You voting for yourself?
Vote for yourself. Well done.
Unanimous, thank you very much. Appoint a member of the Promotion and Publicity Working Group. Present working group is Councillor Lowe. Can't read my own writing, sorry. Councillor Lucas, sorry, I can't read my own writing.
Sorry, say again those names. Councillor
Lucas, Councillor Lowe, Councillor Hearn, Councillor Hopkins, and the reason for this is they need to increase the size of the group. It's from 4 to 5.
Just got a lot to do.
Have we got any proposals for a member on the Promotions and Publicity Working Group? Councillor
I propose this.
Howard. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Any seconder for Councillor Howard? Councillor Stubbs. All those in favour of Councillor Howard?
I'd like to nominate myself.
Oh, sorry,
Before we
Sorry.
vote.
Have we taken the vote?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, not yet.
Is somebody willing to second me?
Okay. Can we do that?
Yeah, I'll second as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor, got so many seconders. Councillor Brooks proposing himself. Councillor Howard seconded. Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Brooks?
No. We've got two.
No, I've done the wrong way around.
We've got proposals and seconders for 2 members, so it's basically a vote for whichever of those members.
One or the other.
One or the other, please.
All right, sorry.
Or,
Okay.
unless members feel that they would like both members on there.
I think half the council on a working group could be a bit too much. That's my view, isn't it? But I mean, I leave that to the council to decide. Do you want 2 members or 1 member to join the group?
Only one.
One.
That makes it 5, which makes it a nice odd
Okay.
number.
Okay, right, as I've been corrected now, the vote is, do you vote for Councillor Howard or for Councillor Brooks? Can I see votes for Councillor Howard, please? Do you
You have to vote for that. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 9.
Michael, are you voting for them?
Yeah, Councillor Brooks.
And votes for Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, well, I was going to vote for Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, miss.
Just to show
Okay, so Councillor Howard is...
I'm not voting for myself. For that.
Okay, Councillor Howard is
Well, you're not bothered then, in that case.
Can we stop the cross-table chat, please?
Yeah, sorry, Chairman.
So Councillor Howard is appointed as a member of the Promotion and Publicity Working Group. And then to appoint a member of the Fitness Centre, I can't even... Fitness Centre Working Group. I must admit, after the night's vote, do we actually need somebody to go on that group?
What's on here? There's 3 on it, isn't there?
Those
There's 3.
Yeah, there's yourself,
Councillor Lowe, Councillor-
Rebecca, and
Yeah.
Michael.
And Councillor... Yeah, Howard.
Just the 3.
Do you still wish to have another member on that group after the decision has
I
been
think
made?
the member was originally set up with 4, so I think they would probably have to do.
Okay, Councillor Brooks.
I was of the view that, especially after what's happened tonight, that sometimes you can have too many people on working groups, and I would have liked to have gone on it if it had continued as a council and community project, but as we don't really know what it's going to be in the situation, I would propose that we don't appoint anybody on it because people can be appointed later down the line, and to be honest, if you're going to be talking to surveyors and architects and people like that, they don't want crowd.
Is that a proposal?
Yeah, that we
Okay,
don't
no,
appoint
second of
anyone.
Councillor Brooks' proposal, please, that we do not appoint anyone.
We don't put a new
Do not
member
appoint anyone
at
to
this
this group.
stage.
Deferring it.
Yeah.
So, can I have a seconder for that?
Yes.
Councillor Lucas. Okay, so the proposal is we do not, or we defer the the appointment of a member to the Fitness Centre Working Group. All those in favour?
Yeah, and if it's required, they can come back.
Okay. All those in favour?
This one's deferred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All those against? 3. That's 10, isn't it?
I don't know what they would do.
Okay.
Joyce,
Right,
Joyce, did you abstain from that? Joyce, did you abstain from that?
No,
She voted for.
voted for.
Alright, so it was 8.
okay.
And 3 against.
Next item is number 16, Town Council Representatives. And the first one is to appoint a member to be the Council Representative to Oakham in Bloom. This is again following the resignation of Councillor Blacksby. Can I have any proposals?
Can I propose Joyce Lucas?
Councillor Lucas. Okay, do I have a second for Councillor Lucas? Councillor Mills. Thank you. Any other proposals? No? Okay, well, I'm going to do it.
Let's do the vote anyway.
Okay, all those in favour of Councillor Lucas? No, right.
10. Martin.
Against?
Just abstain.
Abstain, okay.
No one supports. So.
And the next one is to appoint an additional member to be the council representative to the trustees of the Memorial Institute. Why they're asking for an additional member is that in the dim distant past there were 3 members of the council as representatives on the Memorial Institute. A number of years ago, 3, possibly 4 years ago, we decided not to fill all 3 posts, and that the Memorial Institute only meets once a quarter, and there's really insufficient business to warrant 3 members of the council being on it. Now, if you want to change that now, it's up to you. You can have 2 members. I think at the present time, Councillor Howard is the member representing the council on the trustees of the Memorial Institute. So, the thing is, the Memorial Institute has asked for an additional member. Do we wish to take up that offer of an additional member?
Chairman, can I ask what's involved in being a member?
I think, well, Councillor Howard, you're the person to say.
I can give you a nice. This is one of the nicest committees that I've sat on, because what you do is, sorry,
Apart from this.
what you do is actually distribute money, and it is the good side of the Oakham. Can't remember the word I'm looking for, but it's nice anyway, because you get somebody come to you and say, we would like to develop this and encourage the use of this by various different age groups, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Will we pay X amount to provide kit for rugby clubs, or do this for the youth, the old, or the, you know, whichever groups? So they'll come to us and put a case forward, and we just vote on it in a nice and controlled manner. And it's like being Robin Hood, really.
Subsequent question, whose money is it?
The money is part of the memorial building. It's the rent that the
CKB.
It's the
yes.
interest on,
Yeah, so they pay a rent which goes into a pot which they redistribute. We have, there's various other funds, but that's basically where the money comes from.
And how much do they have?
At the moment, I'm not currently.
Can we not get off the
Yeah.
subject, really?
I'm not looking to.
We're really looking to whether we want
those
to.
figures available. Sorry.
Do we want to appoint an additional member to the trustees? Councillor Lucas.
You omitted how many times a year. I think it's probably once.
It's
Oh, it's 3.
Quarterly.
It's quarterly.
Quarterly,
That's 4.
knowing that Vince very often has to go on a shout, we need another one on that committee, and I don't mind going on it.
Is that your proposal?
Yeah.
That we have an additional member. Councillor Brooks.
I think Joyce just proposed herself, but I would like to propose myself, and I don't think I'd be rejected because Mrs. Clifton actually speaks to me as she's a trustee.
Didn't follow that, but never mind.
I said I'd like to. Joyce nominated herself, and I would like to nominate myself.
Joyce has proposed herself.
Yes, I realise that. Yeah,
Okay,
I realise that. Thank you.
Seconded, Joyce. Is there anybody to second?
Anybody second Councillor Brooks?
Yep.
Michael. Okay.
Michael?
So we now. Michael. Okay, all those in favour of Councillor Lucas to join the trustees of the Memorial Institute? 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 7. All those in favour of Councillor Brooks? 2, 3, 3. Okay, thank you. Therefore, Councillor Lucas is appointed an additional member to the trustees of the Memorial Institute. Thank you.
Maybe I'll be allowed to make tea at Christmas.
Thank you. Right, the item 17 is interim report from the internal auditor, which you have in front of you. This is really just to note, but are there any questions about the auditor's report? I always guarantee you don't have your hand up, can I?
Yeah, just to annoy Mr. Stubbs.
You can't annoy me, Mr. Brooks.
That's fine.
No cross-table chat,
Yeah, we
please.
mustn't fight.
Stick to the item on
I'd just like to say how impressed I was with, after having many years of a quarter of a page which never used to tell us anything. If this is the way forward, then it's a good move to this internal auditor.
Thank you. Any other points, any questions? No? Okay, so we just need to count and notes the internal auditor's report. Item 18 is the Christmas light switch on event. Councillor Lowe.
It's just obviously we're having the Christmas light switch on again this year on November the 29th, which is a Sunday, because it was more convenient for the people that are doing the singing or music and stuff. This year, because of changes in costings from Rutland County Council, they've been very helpful in waiving some costs and doing some work for free, but unfortunately there is an element where the council has to pay some extra out where previously they haven't done, and all this is, as it says there, is to approve the necessary additional expenditure for the event for statutory advertising and labour up to a maximum of £500. We haven't had the exact figure because we haven't.
No, highway officers on leave at the moment.
That's right, yeah. Tony's on leave. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any comments?
Sorry.
No, I propose that we go for it.
Okay, just a minute. We've got Councillor Brooks.
I was asked to make a comment, so apologies for speaking again. One of the retailers in the town said to me, will you ask something radical? Could we not have this event on a night when actually the shops are open? Not convenient just for the singers, who very kindly are giving their time free. And it was suggested that this event be moved to the late night shopping event. I can't justify voting for this, because if it wasn't for the fact that the band was there who gave their time last year and their followers, and I actually heard band members saying, why is there nothing else going on around us? It was a total waste of money, and I believe it is the same this year. I'm not Scrooge. I want an event. I used to ask for an official, Richard will tell you, an official, and he said the logistics of it were too complicated. But we've got there, we've got an event. It's the wrong night, but if it was put on a night when the shops were open, or the late night shopping, then I would support it.
Okay. In answer to your question about the late night shopping, what you'll get when the late night shopping is all stalls being set up, and the marketplace itself will be in chaos. And it would be virtually impossible to run the event on that evening. Another night is possible. Whether it's possible this year, I doubt very much, because we've got it finalised. But the late night shopping night, it just couldn't be organised on the same night. It's just not feasible to do it because of the chaos which is going around. So tonight, this year anyway, it looks like it's Sunday the 29th of November. Are there any other questions? Councillor?
I actually agree with Martin, but not for this year, because this year's set.
Yep.
But could we put it down so that next year it would be more fun with more people and more things going on? Could we put it down to try and put it with the late night shopping? No, never.
No, but my view, that's cool in my view, then the late night shopping is chaos they're setting up. At the time you're looking at, which is about 6:30, then the stalls are all being set up, and it would be around the marketplace where the Christmas tree is, where the event's going to be. Would be
so open. Cars and things?
Yeah, vans, cars, everything's being set up.
Okay.
So it really is difficult to do on a late night shopping night. In fact, why not come down on late night shopping and see what's happening? Okay. Pardon? Are you going to speak or are you going to mutter?
Yeah, sorry, if I'm allowed to. I go to late night shopping every year, from when they start setting up until they close. I would not describe it as chaos. You know, we have bands, singers, performers, all sorts of things going on, and all we're asking is for the Christmas tree to be plugged in when there are people around who will benefit from the fee of it being plugged in. That's all I'm asking. You know, and I don't think it would be difficult, because you haven't publicised this day, to even change it to the late night shopping evening at this stage.
It is too late now, because I understand Council has organised everything around that date.
Everything I've done in relation to this is what I've been asked to do. It's as simple as that. And the thing is that when I spoke to the people that are doing the band and the choir, they couldn't do it on a Saturday night because they normally charge, and that's one of the reasons they didn't do it, and that's why they offered to do it on the Sunday for free. And they came back and said they thought it went better to me on that night. And the thing is, I don't care what happens on late night shopping. We're talking about this agenda item. The proposal is that we authorise expenditure for a bloody notice.
Okay, right, are you making that as a proposal?
Yes.
Councillor Howard, all those in favour of expenditure of £500 for the switch on of the Christmas lights on Sunday the 29th of November? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All those against? 1. Abstentions? 2. Thank you very much. Right, schedule of payments, item 19. Are there any questions on the schedule of payments?
Chairman,
Yes, go on.
can I just ask?
You'll stand up.
Well, I didn't know whether it
No,
was me or...
I've nominated you.
Councillor.
I've nominated you.
All right, fine. I'll take these out by then. Can the photocopying is? Can we find out how much photocopying is done? What I'm trying to establish, that I don't know whether I'm doing it right or not. What was that for?
Don't know. It's probably a fly.
I got some printing, photocopying done for the tabletop sale that Oakham Town Council are putting on.
Right.
Let's be fair on this. Should that have been put into the budget of promotion? Can we have it a bit more obvious where all the photocopying is going? Are we photocopying anything that members want photocopying as a private thing, nothing to do with Oakham Town Council, but privately?
Right.
Privately.
Well, in answer to your question,
Sorry.
In answer to your question, now I'd say that any photocopying should be allocated to the budget of the reason for it being done.
Yes.
There should be no private work done.
Yes, I remember some years ago, I'm sorry to keep harping back to some years ago, but I think we all said private work can be done, but you have to pay for it. Am I right on that, Richard?
Well, I really wouldn't like to say that, Joyce. I mean, my view is that if I would, until we kind of knew what was happening in the past, we have actually done photocopying, I think, for the Oakham Town Partnership, but we invoiced them for that.
Yes.
I would be extremely loath, I must admit, to start photocopying stuff privately for members. I really would.
But apart from that,
regardless of whether we charged or not.
No.
Because
across the
I feel
road we've got Coleman's.
They can go, there are plenty of other places that members, if they have copies that they wish for their own personal use, there are plenty of other places to go to.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't believe it's appropriate for.
We would have to generate we would have to generate an invoice for that.
Yeah.
And
I just want to
it
make
wouldn't
a
be
point.
worth generating an invoice for anything less than about 10 copies. I mean, that's if you only charge 10p a copy, it's only
I just want to make a point that
yeah.
members...
Okay. Right. Any points on the payments? Councillor Brooks.
Yes. First one's a minor one. I object to the council paying for the chairman to go to the last night of the prom. It's payment number 174. And then there's the payment number 177 for streets for an additional visit, £420. This council approved a payment of, if I get it right, £1,200 plus VAT. A member of the council and the clerk decided that an additional day was required. And this is where I get annoyed with the delegated powers, and it's not the clerk's fault, but to me, a specific sum was allocated for that project, the review of our accounts, and now we have an additional sum of £420. Apparently some members were emailed, I wasn't emailed, so that's why I was surprised to see this on here. But I keep repeating, at training we were told we cannot authorise expenditure or any council business via email. This should, because it was an additional amount to the budget set, come back to council. The more serious one is item number 192, and that's for Plantscape Limited. The sum of £6,960 was paid on the 16th of September in the middle of a conversation and email communications I was having with the clerk, who assured me on the 17th that this payment, because it does not have a contract, does not have approval by this council for the last 2 years, would come to this council meeting this evening. What I don't like about it is the fact that I've been misled and have to stand here with people thinking, oh, Mr. Brooks is going on again. That is an unlawful payment. In 2012, this council entered into, it's minuted, a 1-year contract with Plantscape. I've asked the clerk why we did not tender, why we don't have a contract for the last 2 years, and the answer is, I do not know. This is happening far too much. And, you know, for somebody to pay it in the same way the skate park has been paid, I am fed up being treated in this way. We're all equal, we're all councillors, and when I go to the office and speak about an issue and I'm told it will come to council, and then I get this in an envelope telling me it's been paid when I'm having discussions about it, I find that unacceptable. And I use the words dishonesty and misled, and I will not retract it. And I want to know what the council's going to do to stop this, because next April, May, when this comes to the auditors, this is another disputed payment, and you will all be moaning, oh, we've got problems with the accounts again. This needs to stop. No one has the authority in the office to pay that sum of money.
Thank you. I note your comment about voucher 174 for the Chairman's Fund to go to the last night of the proms. Audit fees. Councillor Elliott, did you want to speak on that?
I will, if you'd like me to. We spent many hours during the summer between June and August, we being the finance working group and in particular the clerk and myself, going through various stages of unravelling the reason why the annual return had been presented wrongly and getting it right so that it could be presented with confidence. We reached the point, I don't know the day, we reached the point after Streets had come in once and spent the day as planned carrying out their review, where it was impossible to put through the adjustments that Streets had agreed with us because of the software restriction. So we'd ended up with a series of balance sheet adjustments, and this current software cannot put adjustments through in intra-balance sheet adjustments. In other words, adjustments from one balance sheet account to another. And I picked up the phone and asked if Georgina, the street representative, was available to pop over and try and help. She said she was and could, and the clerk, I'm quite happy to say, I strongly urged that we needed to get on and do it. We were then up against, I don't know how many versions of time limits. Richard agreed, and so you could say that between us, but whatever emphasis you want to put on either individual, that is how it came about. Georgina came in not for a day, although it wasn't for a day's work, it was for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon of whatever that date was. And we were able to sort out a way round the problems so that the accounts could be finalised without having to start all over again simply because of the restrictions in the software. To have started again manually, avoiding the software would have taken a lot of time and would have involved further recourse to council and so on. It seemed a sensible, the most sensible decision to make at that moment.
Thank you very much. Want to take on the floor displays, Richard? 1 and 2.
Yeah, I will do. Okay, so this, the last 2 years as first year was, okay, let me recap. The budget was approved obviously in January of this year. I fully accept Councillor Brooks's comments about the lack of a contract. The budget was approved. There was no doubt, obviously, that the work that Plantscape did was carried out. Now, we received that invoice in September. It was more than 30 days until this meeting, so it would have been outside of that 30 days. I emailed members, pointed that out to them, and there is a financial regulation that has been in place for a very long time that allowed me to authorise it. Now, I have to apologise to Councillor Brooks if he feels that I misled him. I don't actually recall saying that I would definitely contact Plantscape. I obviously offer my apologies to Councillor Brooks if he feels that I have misled him in any way. However, the work has been done. I do have the authority to pay it. If members feel that authority should not be used, then they should be looking perhaps at removing that from the financial regulations. We are currently looking at the financial regulations as it is. But the work has been carried out. It is for that amount, and it has been that amount for the last 2 years. And I can't really say any more about it.
That's all.
I just want to. Sorry, what's the date of the invoice that came through to us?
16th. Oh, date.
We received it on the 9th of September, I believe. I can check.
Oh, okay. I've looked into this myself as well, and I unfortunately find that the Plantscape invoices are wholly inappropriate, and that this attempt to be blasé about it, because I think that's what we're being, is wholly inappropriate as well. It was a huge mistake that the council made originally when the contract was drawn up, because the contract was never drawn up and never signed. So for 2 years we have been paying over X amount of £1,000 when we shouldn't have been paying it. But the damage is done. The thing that the streets thing's done, which is earlier on in here, one of the reasons we've incurred expenses from streets is because of our inadequate or poor controls and the general lack of attention to detail, which is not even falls at the clerk's feet or the assistant clerks. Maybe it falls at all of our feet. And the thing is that if we do not adapt and adopt procedures that have been highlighted this summer, then none of us deserve to be here. What I would say is that enough water has gone under this bridge that we should have another bloody bridge built. And I apologise, Chairman, for swearing twice in one evening. I'm fed up with these council meetings falling into arguments over things where we make genuine mistakes. What we must do is we should learn from them and move forward. So I'm not happy about the Plantscape thing, but the clerk has come forward and been quite upfront about it. And I think the time for witch hunting should stop.
Here, here.
Thank you. Councillor Brooks?
What I would like to just put in the end is, obviously I won't touch on all the details that have been said, but the clerks or officers' delegated powers need to seriously be looked at, because you only have that delegated power if the correct authority. There was no contract, there was no purchase order, no minutes to say.
Councillor Brooks, you're going over the same ground again.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so what I'm saying
get to the
is,
point.
I am getting to the point.
Quicker than you are at the moment, please.
But you don't seem to be bothered, and everyone's getting fed up.
Yeah, I'm very bothered.
And I will emphasise what Adam's said. We do not seem to be learning from this. And that is, to me, when I point out to somebody employed by this council, when they've said to me they're looking for the contract, and I say, come on, you're not looking for it, you don't have it.
Can we please move on, Councillor Brooks?
What I'm saying is, when a councillor, when Adam is saying that some of us shouldn't be here if we allow this to continue, I, as a councillor, specifically said that should not be paid. It should come to council, and if we all followed the law, it should not have been approved tonight. We've got to sort this so it stops. Because I'm not going anywhere, and that is why I'm here, to highlight these things. I can dig other things out that have happened, but that to me is the most serious, and the way I was treated. He told me he was going to phone Plantscape. There was no mistake in it.
Can we move on, Councillor Brooks, please? Councillor Mills.
I'd just like to endorse what Adam said about witch hunts and things like that. We have taken on board, that is the finance working group, we have taken on board the recommendations shown in the yellow paper earlier, and I'm assiduously ticking those off to make sure that Richard follows them, and Richard's aware of that. Because we had our meeting today. We are currently looking at the levels of delegation within the council for various financial matters. In fact, Richard's exchanged a couple of emails with me today about that subject. Okay. So all I can say is I can't control what happened in the past, and I can't write what was done in the past. All we can make sure is that as we go forward, we follow the recommendations of both Streets and Wilcox, and we implement the required measures, and that we check those. And on that very subject, I've been in twice recently to do reconciliations of the bank accounts, etc. When I went back to the financial regulations, I should not do that because I'm a signatory on the accounts. However, I bring it to the council's attention because I have done 2 reconciliations. I've found nothing wrong with them, and that was probably before I was actually a signatory. But we do need to look at this a bit more deeply, insofar as we need somebody independent of a signatory to actually do the checks which are required.
Are there any suggestions?
If you can give me a few days, another chat to Richard and perhaps with the finance working group, just to sort of tidy up the financial regulations and the levels of delegated authority, we can actually perhaps put this one to bed.
Okay. Well, as chairman of the finance working group, are you happy that we approve this payment list?
Well, the payments have been made.
Yes, but I mean, are you happy that we approve it?
We've got an option.
Okay, thank you.
In my opinion.
Okay, we now propose that we accept the payments. Councillor Mills. Second. Councillor Howard. All those in favour?
I'm going to abstain from Richard.
Okay. Some 8. Against. And 1 abstention. Thank you. Do you want that recording? Do you want that recording?
It's voted against recording, please.
Thank you.
And it's not a witch
accounts, please.
This happened last month.
Councillor Brooks. Stand to the accounts. Now, before you have any questions, other than ones which have already been stated. Councillor Brooks.
Yes, we have highlighted an additional report this evening. I still believe that this new edition of debtors and creditors is an incorrect way to describe this. And I would also suggest that from those 9 organisations that are recorded as debtors, they're not debtors, we've paid them in advance. I also question why we're paying so many things in advance, particularly when you come to the position of services being provided by companies. most companies pay things monthly, and Rutland County Council are probably very lucky to receive the business rate in a lump sum. So we can ignore that part of it, but it would be better if it was monthly. But on the others, we shouldn't be paying, if avoidable, everything up front, because if those companies go bust, where do we find the money from to provide the service which is being listed as a debtor? They're not debtors, we've paid them in advance.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mills, do you have any comment to make about it?
No, I was just looking through the figures actually.
Okay. Right. Can I propose to accept the statement of the councillors? No, sorry, I didn't see you around the corner. Yeah. Second. Councillor Howard, all those in favour?
I'm not saying again.
Against? And one abstention.
We need a new
Thank you very much. The meeting is closed at 20:54.
We're being fobbed